Hi everybody. If you watched the previous video that I made, the one about the channel rebrand slash revamp, I spoke about how I'm going to venture more into doing voiceover videos over filming videos, but this needed to be said and I don't have the time to make the slides to say it. So I'm going to record an old style video in one go and just post it. So I got the idea to talk about this. You can tell from the title, I'm going to be talking about why you should be paying attention when people leave your church suddenly. And I wanted to talk about this because I was watching a YouTube live that this lady was making, and she was discussing shunning in her church, or how she was shunned by her old church or church members or friends that she had at the church after she left the church. And someone in the comment section said, and I quote, "The reason people quickly dismiss it when others leave their church is because if they give their leaving any kind of legitimacy, they might have to question why they themselves are there." And obviously this varies. I'm not saying that everybody who ever leaves the church has some kind of legitimate reason for leaving, but some people do. And when they do, you need to pay attention to that. It's not something that you should be very quick to dismiss. I want to make it clear that I'm not trying to make it seem like it's this really horrible thing for people to want to be in churches. If you watch my channel and you've watched my videos, you know that that's not what I'm saying. God created the body of Christ because we are supposed to work together as many members of one body. It's not separate bodies, it's members of one body. So the need to belong and the need to be part of a church community, if you will, is very natural. And in fact, it's good and right. However, that need to belong can never and should never come above the need for truth and doctrinal purity. Truth and doctrinal purity is number one. That's the thing that binds you guys together as a group. So if you start placing the group feel, or the group, the belonging above truth and doctrinal purity, then you've already messed it up, because you are saying that we can have unity over false things, and that's not what God had designed the body for. We need to hold the head and hold the truth and speak the truth in love, right? But the truth nonetheless. So I wanted to talk about a little bit. If you've seen some of my videos, you have heard that I also had a little bit of an experience, nothing like this lady. She was at her church, I think, for like 17 years. I was at the church there where I was at for like 2 to 3 months, between 2 and 3 months. And but I very quickly developed relationships there. The people who knew me there. And when I did leave the church, I'm trying to think, did anybody ask me? Well, apart from the people that I actually told. And it's so funny because even the people that I told, nobody asked me. Like I literally went up to people and I was like, hey, so I remember I was doing an evangelism thing on campus with 2 people from the church who were like, I don't know what they were. Maybe they were elders, maybe they were like just had some kind of responsibility in the church, and we were doing evangelism on campus. And I remember I looked to them and I went to them after we finished everything, and I was like, hi guys, so this is what happened. I'm leaving the church. I spoke to my disciple, I spoke to the pastor. I'm not gonna be with you guys anymore, and it's because of Calvinism. And they were both like, no one asked me. And I'm just like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but isn't it the natural reaction that if somebody tells you that, hey, I think that you guys' position is wrong, to the point where you've seen me, you've seen that I was faithful here, I've been with you guys, I love being with you guys, I've participated in everything that I could ever since I've been here, and all of a sudden I'm just willing to drop it all because of this? You're not even going to question me a little about that and think that I might be like dialogue with me just a little to figure out what I'm saying, it or if there's any kind of legitimacy to it? That was really scary to me. So I think that's why I want to warn you that there might be something there. If people start leaving your church in numbers, you might, or even not in numbers, if faithful people who've been at a church for a long time adhere to the church's doctrine, follow the leaders, whatever, and then all of a sudden they just up and leave the next day, that is something scary, and that's something that you need to pay attention to. So and I think that, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Okay, I really do think that when you have a conversion experience, when you believe the gospel and you believe in Jesus Christ, after living a long time in the dark and not knowing the truth, there's nothing that scares you more than the possibility that you could ever be in the dark again. So you're gonna run from that like nothing, okay? And I do think that that's how I got to a point where I am at right now with pure doctrine, sound doctrine, because I hate the idea that I could ever be deceived like how I was for 20 years of my life. So and I think that that's the case with many people. But for some people, even if they were in a position where they were deceived for a lot of their lives, and then they found Jesus, or they started to see that the Bible is true, they still place the group above the truth. Like, I found a place here, I belong, I love it here. I don't want anything to disturb this group harmony. And they replace God and the importance of pure doctrine and the truth with the people. So they think that as long as I'm in this group of people, everything I do is sanctified. We cannot be wrong. This is true. This is right. They question everything outside of the circle, but nothing inside. And that is just terrifying. I'm just like, that is a scary position to be in if you can't even do that. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about why some people don't want to ask questions. These are some of the reasons why people don't want to ask questions and people leave their church. If someone leaves because of doctrinal error, false teaching, manipulation, abuse of any kind in the church, you need to take that seriously. Because, and the reason why some people don't take it seriously is because then they might have to pause and question what they believe, question where they are. Who are these people? What am I believing? Has my whole life been a lie? Scary questions, right? Your brain, it doesn't want to do that, but you have to do that. It's imperative that you do that. And I don't know how people cannot do that. You have to care about the truth more than you care about belonging, because what if your whole life was a lie? Wouldn't you want to know? Wouldn't you want a chance to live in the light if you've been deceived for a very long time? So the discomfort that arises, instead of rising above it and looking for the truth, people just choose to ignore it. Like, this is too uncomfortable for me. I'm not even going to delve into the realm of whatever this is. So that's why they push it away by all means. They don't even want to ask. If they don't even want to like give it a peep, right? So this is some excuses that they will say. You know, the thing that they do, they paint the person who is left, who's now taking a stand and saying that that's not right, something's wrong there. Oh, this person is divisive. They're divisive. You know, oh, people, oh, they love that. They love the word divisive. The term divisive. If you even bring up differences, which is just like, if you can't even have an adult conversation with somebody who disagrees with you, there's something very wrong with you. If there's sudden discomfort to the point where you can't even handle it and you have to start slandering, making lies about a person just because they disagree with you, then you've got serious problems, and you're the one who's not teachable. They accuse the other person, the person who leaves, of fearing authority. They are not teachable. They think they know everything, right? They backslid. I was told that you need to find a church family. We're just really, really scared for you. Find a church immediately. Find a church. It's like the importance of finding any, it could be any church. As long as you're in church, like, people will take you more seriously than the truth. It's the pursuit of the truth is in the church. And don't get me wrong, the church is supposed to be the pillar and ground of the truth. That's God's will. But is that the reality though? No, that's the answer. It's not the reality. Many churches are not doctrinally sound. Many churches are filled with people who don't even know the gospel. So I'm sorry if I'm not going to rush to church, where church is the place where I found out that I was being deceived again. That was never going to happen to me again. Or they just wanted to live in sin. That's the reason that people give for not wanting to believe people when they leave. Because if the people were right, then what does it say about you staying? What does it say about you still being there? If they were right up even a little bit, what does that say about you still being there? What does it say? Doctrine is a major issue, and I really don't like it when people try to diminish doctrine as though doctrine is secondary to unity. Unity around what? Around lies? No. So if you find yourself in a situation where you see people leaving your church all of a sudden, faithful members, you need to ask questions. Go to the person yourself. Don't believe narratives. that have been created. Don't assume, don't slander, don't gossip, don't protect the system or institution at the expense of the truth. Romans 3 verse 4, people. Let God be true and every man a liar. Do you want men to be true at the expense of God's truth? That God becomes the liar? Really? No. So if someone who loved the Lord, was faithful to the church's doctrine, wasn't causing trouble, suddenly leaves, then you should be curious, okay, enough to know what's going on there. This might be the wake-up call that you need. Perhaps they are leaving because they saw something that you haven't seen yet. And if you just ask them, that could be the key to unlocking, whatever's been making you blind this whole time. It could be. Oh, this is a could be. Okay, this is about loving the truth more than you love the comfort of your church or whatever. And there are many worldly people who are worldly inside churches who act as though they are following God's wisdom, but truly they are just following man, except that these men are inside the church instead of outside the church. And it's not funny. So you have nothing to worry about if your church is actually preaching the gospel of the grace of God clearly and rightly dividing the word of truth. Then you have nothing to fear by asking these questions. And anything is going to solidify you in what you already know. But if it isn't, then ignoring it won't make it go away. So yeah, that's food for thought for today. And that's all I wanted to say, guys. Thank you for